So I want to direct this first question to you, Bella, because I know you're an aspiring Olympian hopeful, and I want to know what or how concussion impacted your career, and what were some of the challenges you faced throughout these concussion experiences?
Yeah, for sure. So, as you said, I was an Olympian hopeful. I used to be a competitive athlete for show jumping horses. I was traveling the world at a very young age, starting at 14, without my parents or anybody. And what happened was essentially concussions derailed my life. I went from supposed to be going to the Olympics, the next 10 years of my life were planned out, but that's not exactly how it worked out, as I am sitting here instead of competing. So, what of some of the challenges were an endless list. I could probably talk for a few days about this, but one of the biggest things for me was identity loss. So you don't really know who you are without your sport, especially if you do a sport at a high level. It's all I breathed, it's all I thought about, it's all my family talked about. So getting rid of that was something I had a really hard time with, from mental health challenges, anger, to the point where when I was taking breaks from competing, I would delete all my social media because that's all it was filled with. And watching friends compete, keep going, was really tough. I honestly had a really hard time watching people keep going, and I didn't know who I was. I honestly didn't believe I could be anybody else, to the point where I kept trying. I kept competing, I kept going, I'd take breaks, I'd get really different recommendations from doctors. So this was 10, 11 years ago, and it's changed a lot in the last few years, as many of you may know, but it was always, oh, what if? Like, if you get hurt again, or, you could do it, you cannot. My parents didn't know what to do. I was very depressed, so I think that's why they let me keep going, because it was something that I loved. So it gets really challenging with what athletes can also hide. I was very good at hiding pretty much all of my symptoms if I could do it right. I had headaches every day, but the longer I had the headaches, the better I got at hiding the headaches and things like that. So it was really challenging that way, and going back and just keep it trying and trying again and again definitely was something that took a toll on me, mentally as well as physically, because as an athlete, a lot of time, like on the field, you don't notice your symptoms. You can ignore them, you can push through. You might be able to notice from an outside perspective, but you can keep going. It's when you stop. So when I'd stop, everything would hit me really hard. So eventually I made the decision to retire, and retiring took me 7 years, which might seem like a really shocking amount of time, but it took me 7 years to accept that I needed to find other things in my life. And if you had told me that I was going to retire the years before that, I would have told you no, it wouldn't have happened. But eventually I learned that there was a lot more to my life other than sport. And it's not that sport isn't important, but eventually I had to learn that there was other things for me in life other than just competing, just being an athlete. But that took me a really long time. And I like to use the word retire, because quitting kind of like feels like you just kind of gave up. But my health decided that for me. Like I said, concussions kind of derailed my life, but doesn't mean it's a bad life. It's just a very different life from what I planned.